I run multiple monetized YouTube channels across varying niches, all using AI filmmaking techniques. And the thing that I have come to understand over years of doing this is it is not as hard as people make it out to be. It is actually very simple, and in today's video I want to talk about all the things that I've learned and demystify the process. So we're going to be talking about fundamentals here. Before we get into this in earnest, if you want more tutorials and free resources, head on over to my Skool. It's completely free to join. See you over there. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is storyboarding. Storyboarding is something that content creators of all types have done when doing narrative form content. It's a well-established technique. You don't invent things out of the ether and then just improvise as you go. You come up with a plan before you even think about doing an image prompt. So let's take a scenario, for instance, a random scenario. We could have a boxer preparing for a fight. How do we come up with a sequence which illustrates this? Well, we would do a storyboard, and we would have a sequence of images which illustrate that story step by step. So I'm just going to go over to a project space I've got here on Claude, and I'm going to describe that scenario. So I'm going to say the following. Do a simple storyboard sequence of 12 images illustrating a boxer preparing for a fight backstage, and then walking out to the ring before being introduced alongside his opponent before the fight begins. I'm going to talk about what's going on here a bit further soon, but just for now, we're going to generate this storyboard, and then I'm going to show you precisely why it's so useful to have. So here's the storyboard. Now this is the premise, and as you can see here, this is shorthand for what will become an image prompt. But what it's doing is describing our scenario one shot at a time using real directorial terms. So we've got our first shot which says medium, the boxer seated on a bench in a breeze block locker room. Then we've got an extreme close-up shot, a taped fist pushing into a red glove. Then a wide shot, the boxer shadowboxing in the center of the room. Then an over-the-shoulder shot, the boxer facing a mirror bolted to the wall. I hope what you can see as you read this is shorthand descriptions of the scenario, and this is us planning every shot that we want to see in the final production before we even think about doing an image prompt. This stage is so crucial. If you don't do this, you're going to go in blind and you're going to make mistakes because you're not thinking like a director. You're not thinking in terms of how do I tell a coherent story with multiple shots like a real film. This is how they do it. This is like a fundamental stage that should never be skipped. We'll talk about what's going on here soon, because as you can see, this came out automatically just from me describing what I wanted, and that is another key lesson we're going to get into very soon. So we're going to move on to the next stage now and actually turn this storyboard into actual images. But before we do our image prompts, we actually need to do another part of the process. This is also a fundamental technique, but this one is actually specific to AI, and that is the importance of doing character references. So I'm going to copy that scenario over to a different project space. This is called image prompting. This is my universal image prompting space. Again, I'm going to talk soon about all this. But for now, I'm just going to paste across the scenario, and I'm going to say the following. Here's a simple scenario I want to convert into Nano Banana Pro ready image prompts. First, we have a character reference to make for our main character. So I'm going to head on over to Hilo now, because we're going to make our first image. So we're making a character reference now. These are so important to have if you want consistency. And here is the reference prompt that we have just made. I'm going to paste that across, set the dimensions, we'll make them 4K, hit go. And we'll just wait for that to generate. And there we have it. This is a character reference sheet. It's multiple angles of our character. So when we do our image prompts next, anytime this character is in the shot, we are going to supply this as reference material. So now it's time to move on to our image prompts. So I've said expand the storyboard into 3 image prompts. And what we end up with is this. Now what this is these raw, basic storyboard prompts converted into a Nano Banana Pro optimized image prompt. So I'm going to copy the first one across now, and importantly, we're also going to add this character reference. Now we're going to generate these 3 image prompts. Okay, these image prompts are done. This is what they'll come out like. And if I bring back the basic storyboard prompts that we had earlier and overlay them over this, you should see this is our storyboard brought to life. And this was so easy to do because we'd already established what shots we wanted to see at the very beginning, and we'd also decided what we wanted our characters to look like before we did an image prompt and made a reference sheet accordingly. So once you've got all that material ready, at that point all it becomes is a matter of creating your prompts and just copy and pasting across. So let's talk about what's going on here because this is the next point I want to talk about. This is a mistake I think aspiring content creators make all the time, which is they get obsessed with finding the perfect prompt. Now, understanding good prompting technique is of course important, but I just feel like people sometimes get a bit caught up in the science of prompting and they obsess over it a bit too much. My advice would be to stop obsessing over prompting and actually start instead learning what works, and as you learn what works, cataloging it and turning it into a repeatable system. So if you saw when I pasted these prompts across in both my storyboard space and this image prompting space, these are project spaces on Claude, it did it instantly. Like, I could come up with any scenario right now and it would optimize it. And that's because over time I have learned what works, and what I've done is I've codified that in a set of extensive guidelines. You can see how long this is. And every time I do storyboarding or every time I do image prompting like here, there is just this huge set of rules that it adheres to. I don't have to think about prompting anymore. I don't have to spend time trying to figure out what works, because I've already worked it out and built this massive set of guidelines. And of course, it doesn't stay the same. Over time, I find new little things that work and maybe improve things slightly, and I just update this. Rather than come up with a fresh prompt every time, I'm coming up with a set of rules that I accumulate through experience. That would be my advice. Build something like this. Now, you can copy these if you want. I'm going to paste them across on my Skool. They'll be in the free resources tab over there. But I just want to show you, again, I'll just to really emphasize, if I go over here to the storyboard, I can say, do a 9-image storyboard about a rocket launched into space. And this is what you get, something like this. Now, these terms you see, extreme low angle, extreme wide, on each shot of this storyboard, these are directorial terms that are all baked in to those guidelines. So I don't have to decide every single shot, okay, what type of shot is this going to be? It does it for me. And again, if I go to the image prompting guide, let's say we haven't even supplied a storyboard, and I'm just going to say, do a nano ready prompt depicting a medieval knight standing atop a castle wall. It already knows what works because I've told it. And there we go. Note that I didn't specify a low angle shot. It chose that. If I copy that across, and this is our result. So what I really want to hone in on here is that I think people overcomplicate prompting. Yes, it's really important. The way I think about it is you're learning over time the best way to communicate with the AI. And once you have learned what works, you should save it. And then you can just keep using those templates again and again and again. On the subject of not complicating things, animation prompting is a perfect example. In my experience, less is more. So for instance, if I want to do a single frame animation, say for our scenario of the boxer again, what I would say here is something dead simple, like a boxer getting his hands wrapped in a changing room, and then maybe add some camera movement. So subject, action, camera movement. That's my typical formula. Now, if I was doing something a bit more complicated, like omnireference, then I'd be describing this, for instance, these 4 images as a sequence. And I'll just show you as well, you can do this with AI. So I have another space in Claude here, which has some guidelines on animation prompting. And again, you can see they're just very, very detailed. And I'm going to drop in these 5 shots. And I'm going to say the following. So I've said I want a multi-sequence animation prompt for those first 4 images, and then for that 5th one, I want a single frame animation prompt optimized for Kling or MiniMax. So what you get is this prompt here. So this is our omnireference prompt, which uses all 4 of those images, and there is our prompt for the single image prompt. So I automate as many parts of the process as I possibly can. There's parts of the creation process you cannot automate, like the actual creative side of things. So I don't really want to be in a position where I'm handwriting out every single animation prompt, because that's going to take me a long time. I don't want to have to think about every stage of the storyboard. I just want to be able to give this to AI and get it to do it for me in a matter of seconds, rather than me spend hours on that one task. And it's by developing systems like this that I do that. So the other thing to talk about is shiny object syndrome. This is something that I have suffered from a fair few times. So most recently would have been when CDAN started to come on the scene over the last year or so. It did eventually affect my workflow, and I did have to take a look at my tools and improve. But there is an easy trap to fall into with AI tools, and it is every single time a new one comes out. And let's be real, in this space, a new one comes out almost every other week. It's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking, oh, I need this because it's going to level up my workflow and I don't want to fall behind the pack. 9 times out of 10, that is not the case. You're much better off getting a selection of tools that are well made and reliable and just learning them inside and out. So for instance, I've used Nano Banana Pro almost exclusively for my images, like for the last year or so, and learning how to use it, learning what it's capable of, has served me a lot more than chasing every new image prompting tool that comes out under the sun. Now, I do take time now and again to just see what's out there and try the new ones. Like for instance, I've been experimenting recently with GPT 2.0 and I've found some very real uses for it where I find it more capable than Nano Banana Pro. But ultimately, I still use Nano Banana Pro because it does everything I need it to. Now, if something comes out considerably better, at some point I will consider switching over to that. But for the time being, I know it inside and out. Why would I stop using it? The other thing, and a big trap that people can fall into, is perfectionism. Perfectionism is overrated. It is actually not a good thing. It's not a good trait. You need to work on that if you suffer from perfectionism. Yes, I say suffer because it is an affliction. I know from firsthand, believe me, there is nothing productive about working on the same project for weeks on end, agonizing over minor details. Finish your projects, get them out there, ignore the nagging doubts and those little things you feel you need to tidy up. The only way to truly learn and get better for the next project is to force that first one out the door and then just keep doing that. Get into a routine of just getting projects finished and released. You will learn so much more finishing projects than you will procrastinating endlessly on one. Anyway, that's it for this video. I did spend a lot of time talking about things that, in my opinion, apply to content creation in general, not just AI filmmaking. But that was the entire point. I really wanted to hone in on the fact that the things that will make you a good AI filmmaker are these fundamentals that are basically universal to content creation, full stop. Learning systems, resisting perfectionism, avoiding shiny object syndrome. Yes, I did show you some very in-depth prompting techniques in my project spaces, but I really want you to understand the system behind how they came to be rather than the prompting technique itself. Now, as I said, those guidelines will be available over on my Skool as a free resource. You can take them, do what you want with them, apply them to your own projects. But yeah, AI content creation is really this easy. You just have to nail the fundamentals and just keep making content. And you cannot fail to get better. That is all for this one. Hope you liked it. If you did, give it a like, subscribe and a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.